Hello, Trev here. I'm talking about a sort of reoccurring topic that seems to come up a lot, which is musicians being asked to play gigs for free or for exposure. And some of you might remember a few months ago, maybe about a year ago actually, I made a complaint to the Musicians Union when I was asked to play a sort of a food festival in a town called Moreton in Marsh, and then they didn't pay. Slightly different, but I actually went to the Musicians Union and sort of did a lot of research on that, and lo and behold, it is kind of happening again in Oxford. I mean, it's only a matter of time, and let me just read a second. The Oxford Outdoor Market, who run the markets in the Gloucester Green, says, "Good afternoon. We are currently on the lookout for talented acoustic singers interested in performing at the Oxford Outdoor Market. This is not a paid gig. However, it's a fantastic opportunity to showcase your talent, gain public performance experience, and connect with a larger audience. Lunch is on us." They put a little image here of a busy market. Lunch is on us. If you're interested or have any questions, feel free to message us directly. We'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful weekend. And then it's got the details. So I put that in the descriptions for you to read as well. Oh, where are we? But yeah, I thought I'd just sort of open it up a bit because I've been quite passionate about the idea of playing for free in my last video a year ago, and to the extent of making a complaint, which is a long drawn out thing. Slightly different. They made an agreement that they didn't fulfill, so I guess that's a slightly different take on it, but playing at a similar sort of event, these markets, and whether it's okay to play for free. So I have kind of thought about this topic a lot, and as you can see if you look at the thread on Facebook, there's a lot of musicians who are quite kind of ruffled by this, and indeed some musicians who think, actually, I would like to play to a nice busy crowd. One of my friends, in fact, posted a link to Musicians Union sort of unpaid works, sort of a couple of things. 71% of musicians have been asked to work for free, okay, and 54% are asked to work for exposure, and yeah, 5,000 lost per person per year to free work. So this is a common practice of, like, kind of, if you can see the market owner or the person who's employed to maybe do social media for the market is looking to cut their cost, and they're not really sort of paying people to do a job, which is to entertain. Someone else put another one, which is the national gig rates. So I'll get onto what I feel about this in a second. So if I'll just open this one. So national gig rates, single performance fee for musicians in groups performing in pubs and clubs up to 3 hours, £162 per musician. Setting up time, and it goes on, £81 an hour. This is the Musicians Union, sort of who I generally do it align with, but I want to try and take the kind of the standpoint a little bit of the market owners, and as I say, a lot of musicians are very upset about this sort of thing, especially because some of the responses are, oh well, it's about exposure. But if a market was to employ lots of people at the rate of the Musicians Union rate of, I don't know, £80 an hour or whatever, they wouldn't be able to sustain that. So I did sort of put a comment about, if you were to play for, say, 1 hour and get a free lunch, is that actually so bad? Is that unreasonable? I mean, obviously getting paid £10 or something is much better than a free lunch, but the kind of idea of the value of a musician, it seems that the value of the musician has been lost somewhere, or maybe it was never there. I remember when I was living in Manchester, they used to don't pay to play. This is in venues where the promoters would make you buy tickets and then try and sell them to your friends or whatever, and you'd be paying in order to play gigs often, because you might not have sold all the tickets. So the risk of booking the venue was never really kind of taken. It was on the band. So if a market wants to, just have some entertainment, get people having a good time. Where are the sort of the risks and the liabilities, and etc. etc. So let me just go back to the comments to see if I can sort of, yeah. Talented acoustic singers interested in performing in Oxford Outdoor Market. What I like about it is that it's clear. So it's clear that it's not paid. A fantastic opportunity to showcase your talent, gain public performance experience, and connect with the wider audience. Lunch on us. I think they're pitching to, sort of buskers. And I have busked on like Cornmarket Street in Oxford, and this is, just around the corner for that. And I'm kind of thinking, well, is that okay? I mean, is it okay for me as a professional musician, to put a hat down, or, some people have their little gizmos where you can tap to pay because people don't carry cash anymore. But in a way, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe they've just pitched it wrong, because, to give a free lunch and sort of say, okay, you can have a busking slot there isn't too bad. So, I'm not defending them, but yeah, it'd be far better if they were to say, we've got a small budget for entertainment or music, and we can't afford to pay musicians much, but we have got £10 per performer for an hour or something like that. So that would be far more respectful. I think the idea of like it being for exposure ruffles a lot of people. So some people have compared, as I have in the past, compared it to other professions like plumbers, and it's sort of a, yeah, it's a sad thing when people to play for free. But maybe the thing is, there'll be buskers around the corner. I mean, when was the last time you paid a busker, for example? I mean, street musicians and acoustic musicians, it needs to be from the people paying, really. Someone put, well, maybe all the vendors should pay a fiver, and that would be embarrassing times, Paul said. And it's sad. Who is it? Nick, my friend. Yeah, shame you can't find some money for this. Total lack of respect for musicians and no understanding. I could do your gig while you offer me free childcare, clean my house, wash the car. Yeah, so lots of other professions you wouldn't dream of really asking, someone to come and clean for free, or, do plumbing or electrician for free. But, it seems to be okay to ask a performer to come and play for free. But then I did think about, well, if there was a plumber show, for example, maybe where people came and did some tap thing to get business, I don't know, installed some taps on show, then actually maybe they do that sometimes. I don't know if they do an electrician, because the idea of exposure, which, let's go back to that slide from the musicians union, asked to play for exposure, is that justified? If this lovely market that they claim to have all of these sort of people in, maybe they will all, book you for a paid gig. But in reality, I don't know, free gigs seem to just lead to more free gigs, unfortunately. And there aren't many paid gigs at all. I would say most of, more than half of my gigs have been free, really, I would say, over the time. And even the ones, like I say, the ones that I made a complaint about, which was in the region of, giving me £100 for a few hours, then they didn't pay in the end, or that, that became problematic. Saying that, some people have, I remember someone paid me to play an event because I was saying, well, because I got on my morals and saying, I don't want to pay for free. And she employed me, just out of her own pocket, so paid £20. And, that made the difference. So I start thinking about, well, does it really make a massive difference, the £20 or £10? I mean, it sort of does. In principle, it does. And I'm a principled person. But part of me thinks, well, does it really matter? I mean, there's a free, if I went there, I'd cycle there, I'd play for an hour and get, a free burger or a can of Coke or something. And I might actually quite enjoy that. And I have to sort of think, well, am I doing this to stop the attitude of, free labour, if you like? So some people have commented thinking, yeah, I'd like to play to a market, but Anyway, let me know your comments, because I think it is a little bit controversial. I was very, very clear, or that's the wrong thing, in my, which you can watch my last Musicians Union complaint, which was about a year ago, but I was very clear on it. And I think sort of it's nice to try and understand the other side of this, where, yeah, I think if they were letting people busk and actually, you know, collect money, I think that would be all right if it was only for an hour or two. But someone was saying that, you know, they're looking for to cover quite a substantial amount of time. So it's like 9 till 4 Wednesday to Saturday, and actually 9 to 5 on the Saturday. If they're looking to cover that amount of time, certainly, you know, just playing an hour or two isn't really going to do much for their entertainment thing. But maybe they could just do an hour or 2 hours sort of every day of music and give a free lunch to that. I don't think that would be so bad. Would it be so bad? And you know, have a little, you know, collection pot if you wanted to, busking pot. Is that bad? A lot of musicians, you know, in Oxford are saying that is bad. You know, their principle is like, well, you know, you're not paying up front. But, you know, I play open mics, for example, or I'm playing Flowfest next week. I'm not getting paid to play at Flowfest. I know that they do pay some of the main acts, and I do like Flowfest. And the open mics like Catweasel and Mrs. Henderson's. There's a few open mics, Hardcore Arms. You don't get paid. Sometimes you might get a free entry to the event. You know, is that the same as a free lunch? Or, you know, sometimes you might get paid with a couple of beers, for example. So, you know, this is a big problem all round. So in a way, it baffles me a bit that a lot of musicians are kind of surprised and saying, oh no, you shouldn't play, because this is so common. This is the norm, you know, to not be paid. But yeah, if they were to book a paid act for like a whole day or a whole afternoon of entertainment, like 3 hours, like I was for the Moreton in Marsh Festival, then of course it should be a contract. You should, you know, get it in writing, all of those sorts of things that musicians unions say to do, and it's slightly different. And I'm sure that they'd do the sort of pay, you know, buy you a meal to avoid the sort of complications of tax and, you know, those sorts of things. It's easier to just, you know, do a kind of expenses sort of thing, and that, you know. But anyway, I will keep you updated. Drop any comments about it. And yeah, it's just interesting that, you know, I have talked about this a little bit before, and I thought I'd, you know, share my views on it. It's probably happening in cities all over the place, so let me know if it's happening in your local market or such like, and see you soon. Okay, bye bye.